Hey everyone, me again. If you're new around here, my name's Alice and I make videos all about affordable beauty and fashion. Today I want to do a review of this foundation stick from Colourpop. This is called the No Filter Sticks. I featured this in my last video, which was a Colourpop haul. I really like foundation sticks in general. They're such a quick and easy way to just apply your base, so I really wanted to try out this one, and that's what I'm going to be doing for you today. So mine is the shade Fair 07N, which I believe is the palest one with a neutral undertone. So this is what the shade looks like, and I think it's pretty accurate, even though it looks a little bit darker than my hand. My face, as you can see, my skin redness is quite bad at the moment, so I feel like going a little bit darker won't do any harm. So just for comparison, I also have the Revolution Fast Base Foundation Sticks as well. The shade F1 is a really good match for me. So as you can see on the swatches, F1 looks quite a lot paler and it feels a lot creamier when I swatch it as well. And there's F2. Even F2 looks much paler than the Colourpop one. So I've just turned down the lights so that you can see, but this dark one here, that's the Colourpop one. And then you've got the Revolution Fast Base in F1 and 2. So Colourpop does look that little bit darker. Hopefully we're going to be able to make it work today, but we'll find out. I've already done all my skincare today, so I'm just going to go straight in with my primer. Today I'm using the Revolution Baking Oil. If you've been on my channel before, you'll have seen me mention this a few times. And then I'm just going to jump straight in and give this a try. I've got quite a bit of skin redness going on at the moment. Like, I have skin redness all the time, but it's especially bad right now because it's winter. Normally I'd put like a colour corrector on over the top of this, but I'm kind of curious to see how the foundation can cover it on its own. So I'm just going to try that first. I never really know how much product to use when I'm using a new foundation stick, so I'm just going to start with this. And I'm going to use a brush on this side, so I'm just using the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. Do you like my little handheld mirror, by the way? I got this on eBay. I don't think it blends out as easily as the Revolution Fast Base. The finish looks really nice. It looks really natural, very skin-like. As you can see, with just one layer, it has evened things out quite nicely. It doesn't completely cover everything up, but I wouldn't expect it to, because I haven't put that much product on just yet. But yeah, I quite like how it looks on the skin. I can get away with the colour. I think I'm gonna have to take it down my neck, but I can get away with it. I'm just gonna put a bit more on this side of my face to see how it looks when I build it up. I'm thinking I'm probably going to have to build this up a little bit more, but the coverage is not bad, especially when I compare it to the side that doesn't have any foundation on. I'm very interested to see how this looks as I keep building it. I'm just going to try it on this side of my face, and I'm going to blend this side with a sponge. So I don't think it blends out quite as easily with the sponge, and I feel like I've basically taken away all that coverage. So I'll try it again, but otherwise I might just go back to the brush. It's looking a bit better now, but I do think I prefer just the initial application with the brush, and then I might go over some areas with the sponge and just smooth them over if they look a little bit textured or anything. But yeah, I think I'm just going to keep layering this up with the brush for now. So the coverage is looking a lot better the more I build it. However, it is starting to look a little bit cakey where I'm building it up, which isn't really a surprise. That's kind of what I expect foundations to do, especially foundation sticks. So I'm just going to tap over some areas with my sponge. I feel like I can see quite a bit of skin texture, but in fairness, my skin is quite dry and I do have a bit of texture going on at the moment, especially on my forehead. So that might not be like entirely the foundation's fault. Like, I know my skin isn't looking that great at the moment. It's building very well though, and I'm getting some pretty decent coverage out of it. I do feel like I've used quite a bit of product, but to be honest, I do typically use more foundation than the average person anyway. So this is how we're looking at the moment. I think if you don't have as much skin redness as me, you could probably get like a full coverage situation out of this fairly quickly. For me, I'd call this like a medium, but it looks really, really good, and I can easily go in with some concealer just where I need it. I'm really happy with this, especially considering I haven't used any of my usual color correcting products. I think the coverage is really impressive. Finish of it looks really good everywhere except my forehead. My forehead is looking a little bit textured. Everywhere else it looks really good. It is a little bit more matte than the Revolution foundation stick, but it's not too matte. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it in this lighting setup, but it does definitely look a little bit darker than my neck. But I think by the time I've put my concealer on, which is a little bit lighter, and I've used my setting powder and I've put some bronzer on my neck and all that good stuff, I think I can make this work. I think I can bring it all together. Which is quite surprising because I thought when I swatched the shade, I thought I was screwed. Like I thought it looked way too dark. I'm going to hop off camera and finish the rest of my makeup, and then I'll come back and tell you if it's oxidized or anything like that afterwards. But yeah, so far so good. Okay, so the rest of my makeup is finally on. I don't know why, but it takes me like a million years to do my makeup whenever I'm filming. So it was fine blending like concealer and stuff like that over the top of it, and then I've set it with powder and setting spray because that's just what I do every single time I do my makeup, so I do that when I do foundation reviews as well. I'll link the rest of my makeup in the description box below. So I do still feel a little bit like it's maybe emphasizing texture. It's also kind of bringing out some pores like in the center of my face, which isn't usually a problem for me. I feel like if you have an oilier skin type and you found that the Revolution Fast Base was just a little bit too creamy and a bit too dewy for you, this might be more up your street. Personally, I don't know if I prefer it to the Revolution Fast Base. I think they're both quite different products. I have a feeling that this is going to be a little bit more long lasting than other foundation sticks that I've tried, just because it is a little bit more on the satin to matte side. But I'm doing a bit of a wear test, so we will be able to test that theory. The time is currently 5 to 3, so I'll probably be wearing this for about 5 hours or so. That's what I usually do for these videos. At the moment I do like it. I do think the finish is quite natural. I like the amount of coverage I got, but I don't think the shade range, or at least the shade range for pale people like me, is as good as Revolution, and I do think I'm showing a little bit more texture than normal. Sometimes with me, something will look a little bit drier at the beginning, but then after a couple of hours, it will start to like mesh with my skin a bit, and then it just won't look quite so dry on me. But yeah, I'm going to leave this for about 5 hours, and I'll be keeping an eye on it during the day as well. I've got a couple of other videos to film, so I'll be sat under quite bright warm lights as well, which should help us get an idea of how it wears. Anyway, I think I've kind of run out of things to talk about at this point, apart from the price. So it's $10. In the UK it will be $12 because they add VAT at the checkout, which I don't think is too bad. You also get a lot more product than you do with other foundation sticks I've seen. For me personally, that's not really a big problem because I don't use up a lot of my foundations, if I'm being completely honest, just because I buy so many to review. But I imagine for the average consumer that's quite good to know. I'll see you in a bit. Alright, so it's about 8 o'clock in the evening now, which means, as promised, I have had this foundation on for 5 hours. I've definitely looked like my makeup isn't freshly applied. The thing that surprised me most about this foundation, I think, is that there's definitely a bit more glow than I thought there was going to be. So like, especially in the middle of my face, I do feel like I've got a bit more glow than I would expect, just because it feels like it's such a matte satin kind of formula. I think the middle of my face looks the worst. It doesn't look great around my nose, I can't lie. So like, it looks really oily just around the edge of my nose. I filmed another video, by the way, that's why I've changed my top. But I think when I was putting this top on, a little bit came off on my nose. When I tried to tap it back into place, I just seemed to rub off more of the product. So it's not very transfer proof, it just seemed to like come off at like the slightest touch. But also, even though there's bits like the area around my nose that are like wearing down and getting a bit more oily, there's still other areas of my face, like this kind of drier patch over here, where there's no signs of the makeup breaking down. It just still looks as like dry and textured as it did when I applied my makeup this morning, whereas areas that looked alright have started to like break down a bit, or other areas have started to look a little bit more like makeup-y. Yeah, it's just so weird. It seems to have worn completely differently on every single section of my face. I can't really explain it. It doesn't look so bad that if I needed to nip out to the shops, I would feel self-conscious or anything. It looks perfectly okay. I think if I was an average consumer and I wasn't filming a check-in on a YouTube video, I probably wouldn't think it was that bad. But yeah, I've got to be honest, there's just nothing about it that's really like blowing me away. There's nothing that makes me want to reach for this one more than my Revolution foundation stick, which we all know I really love. This just isn't one that I've fallen in love with. It's just okay. Of course, I do just want to put it out there. It is winter here in the UK. My skin is a little bit more crap than usual usual. So I am trying to keep that in mind as well. Like, I could try this again maybe in the spring or the summer and I could have a completely different opinion. I could completely love it at a different time of year. Also, I know that I did have to build it up a little bit more than I normally would just because my skin is a bit more red at the moment. So I'm trying to take that into consideration as well. So at the moment I think it's like a 6 or a 7 out of 10, but because I'm filming my big video at the end of the year about all the foundations I've tried in 2019, I will wear this a few more times over the next couple of days, and hopefully I'll be able to tell you in that video if my thoughts on it have changed or if I found a way to make it last a bit longer, because I'm just trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. This is a first impressions video and my skin isn't looking or feeling that great at the moment. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up here for this video. I'd be really interested to know how you got on with this foundation if you have like an oilier skin type or even just a normal skin type. Let me know in the comment section down below. And that's everything from me today, you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and validate my existence by subscribing to my YouTube channel. I upload new videos every Sunday at 9 AM and sometimes on Wednesdays when I can get my act together. So I'll see you at the next one. Bye!